Hello and welcome back to another Anchor Up devlog. Today in this video I'm going to be covering all of the progress that I've made in the past week on my indie game. This will include finishing the tentacle weapon from the last episode, adding a new type of enemy, adding a new type of level, the trailer, and quite a bit about Steam as well. When it came to actually finishing off the tentacle weapon from last episode, it took quite a few switch statements just to get the calculations right for where it would actually shoot, and this is because I had to take into account whereabouts on the ship it was and also the direction of the ship. So as you can see, a particle effect appears when you start to use it, and then in the projectiles phase it is then activated. A tentacle comes out of the water and will take out any ships that are there. Next up was creating the new type of enemy, and this was a patrol ship. This one doesn't follow the player, so it doesn't need to use any star pathfinding algorithm, but instead it goes in a straight line unless it sees the player, in which case it will stop and shoot. Other than that, the only other thing that will make it stop going in its direction is if there is an obstacle or it's the edge of the level, in which case it will do a 180-degree turn and start moving in that direction. Also, here is a look at a new puzzle I've been working on, which is set in a town, with the lighthouse being the main source of light that there is. I have also changed the main logo to be the new logo, and I've also changed the buttons to be white, as I feel like this fits the colour scheme a little bit better. I also did some light tweaking to make it look more blue, and also to make the back of the ship clearer. Next up, I started to work on a new type of level, which was a collection level, where you have to reach a certain point while avoiding constantly spawning in enemy ships. This is just a prototype level, so there's no real graphics implemented yet in terms of 3D models. However, enemy ships will spawn in over time, sort of like the survival level. However, it's not that you have to defeat X amount, they'll just infinitely spawn in, so you've just got to try and get to the collection point as soon as possible, and you can defeat enemy ships at the same time. However, it's not the main goal, and if the player manages to reach the goal, that is a victory. Next up is the trailer for the game, which I started to work on for the Steam page. This is only a 30-second trailer, however I kind of wanted to just get across the main gameplay loop and sort of puzzles you'll be faced in the game. Along with having to make the music for the trailer, I also set up the Steam page, which you can see here, and there's a link down in the description if you would like to wishlist the game. Next up, I thought I would just share some tips on releasing a store page, and number one is to define your game in one sentence. This is important for so many reasons, however having a clear and coherent game idea is very important. The audience needs to know what your game is in 5 seconds, because when someone's scrolling through a store page, if they don't know what your game is from the first sentence, there is a likely chance that they will click off, unless there is another way that your game can grab someone's attention from the first line. The next tip is about how important thumbnails are. Now in YouTube, thumbnails work similarly to how they would in any other circumstance. You really need to grab the other person's attention. Make sure to build awareness by clearly displaying the name of your game. This is huge for branding, so if someone comes by your game and sees the same name again, they're more likely to click on the game because they have previous knowledge of what it is. Next up is making sure your thumbnail clearly defines your game's art style. If someone is clicking on your thumbnail because they like your game's visuals, the likelihood is that they'd be more pleased to find your game page being very similar. This can lead to a more clear and consistent public image of your game. This also leads to being able to target players who like your game's art style. Hopefully you find some of these tips helpful, and hopefully they'll come in useful when you're making your game's store page. Thank you very much for watching this week's devlog. If you are interested in keeping up to date with development of this project, then be sure to subscribe. If you are interested in playing the game when it comes out, then there's a link to wishlist it on Steam in the description. If you have any feedback on either the video or the game, then leave that too in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.